You are listening to the Eskimo Empire Podcast, a proud member of the Canadian Football Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Empire. It's the Eskimo Empire Podcast.
Here's Mike Riley, takes the drop, waits and throws, and he's going deep downfield. And Darius Bowman. Oh my goodness, what a catch by Darius Bowman. You won't see many better than that. Franklin to Zylstra, touchdown Eskimos. Pressure's coming. Oh, Levi Mitchell goes down. There's a big play for the defense. Somersaults for everybody.
Welcome back to the Turf District for episode 94 of the Eskimo Empire Podcast, brought to you by Alairhomes. Visit alairhomes.ca for more information. I am your host, Andrew, and thank you for downloading and having a listen. Joining me, as always, my favorite history buff, super fan, Mike. How are you, dude?
Doing great. We've had a game now, regular season. This has been, it's a great time of year.
Absolutely. And a fun game, too.
Yes.
I can't wait to talk about it.
The good things happen.
All the good things. Yes, exactly. Now, hey, we got lots of new listeners last week.
We did.
So we need to thank the CFL because they shared all of the links for the Canadian Football Podcast Network.
Yeah, which was great of them.
It was awesome, and to see all of us there, I mean, let me tell you, when I open up the CFL page and I see the Eskimo Empire Podcast logo peeking into the bottom of that picture, I just about fell over.
There was a lot of squeals coming from the Turf District.
Oh, yes, there sure was. So thank you to all of you for writing that up and of course, for joining us. Now, if you're new, just so that you kind of get an idea about what the show is about, we cover everything about the Esks, and of course, including last week's win over BC.
The good stuff.
Exactly. We do cover some Eskimo history, a bit about some of the other CFL games, a preview of this week's home opener, our pick'em for this week's game, and this week, of course, we are going to also be joined by a featured fan and an alumnus. But also, which is super important for this specific week, we say absolutely a lot.
Awesome.
We also say Mossum for awesome because Moss is our coach. And we use
Fire Trucker
to edit out all language as needed. So it'll be very important. So on that note, let's bring in our featured fan. It is her second trip to the Turf District and our tailgate buddy. It is Anto. Welcome back.
Thank you, Andrew. It's wonderful to be back.
Oh, we're so excited that you're here. And of course, it's been a little while since we've run into each other. You've had a busy off season, but when we did get to meet at the tailgate, I just loved how it was.
It was just awesome.
Warming.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
It really was.
Absolutely.
Mike, did you hear off the top of the show we had a sponsor?
We do have a sponsor. Tell us more.
Oh, it's super exciting. It's brand new this week.
Thank you.
And we're definitely going to get into that in a little bit. But we are joined this week. It's kind of interesting because Anto said she was, can I bring my friend Graeme Bell? Oh, sure, no problem. As it turns out, he also works for the team with Alairhomes. So welcome to the Turf District, Graeme.
Thanks, guys. Finally I can talk. I just wanted to get in on this. Usually I don't let Anto talk so much.
Oh my!
It's like you've known each other for a while.
And so it begins.
Exactly. Now, I think we have to start with how you two know each other, because it obviously you guys very much like a brother-sister relationship as you're sitting here, just so that people understand kind of where we're coming from. So.
Do
you want me to? I'll take this.
Sure, and I'll correct where you are wrong.
Like we said, brother-sister.
It's totally, brother-sister.
So I came to Edmonton and I started doing yoga.
Yeah, you did.
And then through yoga, I did a thing called Inside the Igloo with Graeme Bell. And
now, where were you doing yoga, Graeme?
I was doing it in Moksha Yoga here in Edmonton, and
who's the owner of Moksha Yoga Edmonton?
I utilized the show to spoon and find a girl, leverage a girl out of it, and it turns out to be the owner, my wife, and my wife introduced me to Antonella.
That's true.
And then about a year and a half later, we decided to knock a house down.
Well, before that.
I realized you were a fan because you had flags outside your car.
But you were already playing for the Riders then.
Oh,
so
I went back to the Saskatchewan. And then through Alair, we knocked down the house.
We went on a yoga retreat, though, in Maui. That's where we really got to know each other,
that's
right?
Where it blossomed?
And his wife, my yogi master,
Yes.
brought us all together. We went for a yoga retreat in Maui, and that's where we really got to know each other. And I thought, despite the fact that he's a rider, he's not such a jackass. He's a good guy, right?
So we
got along quite
through
well, right?
many sangrias and wines on the beach. We became friends.
And fish tacos.
We became friends.
Oh, so many stories.
I know. Where is my mind? Yeah. Oh my. But so, anyways, and me and Ange were doing knocking down a house and building a house at one point, and we were actually going to look. We were looking for a place to live, and Anto said, "Well, come live with me." So we lived with her for what?
This is so wrong.
10
it's so
months,
inaccurate.
Not a bill came through the door.
Yeah.
Anto literally, it was like an incredible experience because she picked up everything, and we lived with her, and we just made dinner with her.
Picked up everything.
It was crazy. So, the bet. If anybody on this podcast is looking to do a reno.
How do you prepare for a reno? You find yourself an Anto. Right?
No, I like it better when you say you find yourself an anti-paddles.
An anti-paddles. Find yourself an anti-paddles. That's how to do.
Yeah, so
that's how to prep for a. So the truth is, it's sort of true. So their boxer Brady. They have a bod dog who he was just a pup, and I bonded with Brady. Yeah. Like Brady would fall asleep in my arms like a child. And when they said they were going to start doing a reno, and we'd become friends already at this point, right? And yoga has done very, very special things for my life. It truly has. It saved me in many ways, and it was cool because at that time.
So did liquor.
Well, you got to balance, right? You got to balance.
One in each hand.
The two in conjunction will do real magic, right? And it was great. And a lot of the Eskimos were doing yoga, right? At this time. So I'm like, I've got my two loves. I've got the Eskimos and Moksha yoga in the same. It was just wonderful. So that's actually how we met. Yes. But I formed a bond with their dog, and Ange, his wife, his now wife, said, "Well, we're thinking of doing a reno. We'll probably get a heated trailer and park it outside the house, and the reno will continue." And I said, "Brady's not living in a trailer. I wanted to save the dog. Brady can come and live with me, right? And you guys can join him."
Well, that makes a lot of sense. And now, see, people know who we're dealing with. This is perfect. This is great. Graeme, when we have an alumnus on, I always want to ask to kind of go back a bit, but who introduced you to football, and when did you start playing?
To be honest, my parents didn't let me play hockey. And then as soon as I was kind of allowed to, forge signatures, I started playing football. And so I was young. I can't
believe that.
No, they knew it. Obviously my mom, they were obviously the concussion industries, the concussion issues today are what they were worried about back then. So they were maybe forward thinkers, but that was what they were concerned about. Mm-hmm. And so I started playing in grade 8.
Okay.
Was my first year when I was allowed to go out and finally start playing. And then I excelled at it at a young age, and that was kind of why they said my mom probably allowed me to keep going.
Okay. So where did you start playing? Like
Saskatchewan.
Sorry, I meant what position?
I was...
I don't care where. No, I'm See, I like that, yeah.
I started as tight end.
Okay.
And then I went to receiver, and then I went back to running back. In high school, I was a running back, and then went to college as a fullback, as a tailback / fullback, and then came to the CFL, obviously.
Yeah.
Us white Canadians that don't run fast, but are needed because of caps and requirements.
Yeah.
And so I ended up at fullback and tight end here.
All right. Perfect. Great. Our friends at the Tight Ends podcast will be very excited to hear that.
As they should be. So you joined the team 2009, 2010, played fullback, special teams. What kind of memories do you have from your time in Green and Gold?
Oh, fond. I loved it here. Nice. It was you always end up at a team where you should be at the right time.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. And that's really when I ended up here. I was a young age. I was just enjoying life. I had coaches that brought me here that I was excited to play around. And then you go into the locker room, and then you see that short guy, Dwayne, in the locker room, and he just makes everything a highlight. And I'll tell you, Dwayne, he makes it enjoyable there. And so did the team. We had a real tight-knit group of players. We didn't do anything on the field, but
it was a rough couple of years. All right, now you won a Grey Cup with the Riders in 2013, which we won't be too upset about. But anyway, but the cool thing was
sucked.
we did.
We sucked.
We did. But it was
there was nothing we could do
all
year.
14.
Exactly.
That was a bad year.
But it was your home team in your hometown. So that must have been really exciting and to go through that whole experience.
Yeah, totally. Because I knew it was my last year. I was having wrist surgery on my wrist. They had to fuse my wrists together, so I knew it was at the end. And so it was just enjoyable to be a part of that. I grew up watching them. Mm-hmm. My dad grew up watching them. Like, it was a big thing to him.
It's the law.
Yeah, it is. To him, it was just. It's almost. Like that's what you do in the summer is you watch Saskatchewan football.
Sure.
Yeah.
So it's a pride thing. I mean, hockey's big there, but the Riders are bigger.
Right.
Yeah.
So and so it was a big thing, and I think it was more so. More of a ride for my parents than it was for me. I mean, I enjoyed it obviously, but I got to see the inside, the locker room of how it all was coming together. But, from a fan's perspective, you don't know. You show up on Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, whenever the game is, and you just want to see how the team performs. So it's a little different coming from a locker room to see how you're prepping, because you have that confidence going into a game, and you have that confidence in a team in a locker room, whereas the fans, they don't know. You don't see what's happening, and you don't know the game plan. You just know that the team's good, and you're hoping they come out and they win. So my dad, it was a big experience. I remember bringing him down onto the field after the win.
Wow.
And that was a huge... I mean, you only got one guy, which is crazy, but I remember bringing him down, and it was, I shouldn't say that, I brought my wife down too. I had to.
Yes,
she was.
You snuck her
part
out
of it. Yeah. So and I'm still.
Ange probably jumped the fence, right? Because she's pretty athletic, right?
But it was super. That was to him. I'm sure that was one of the top. We got 4 kids, so the top 5 things. Maybe my wife. He married my mom, so maybe the top 6.
Okay,
things.
fair enough. Yeah,
but yeah, it was a big experience for him because he got to see it looking up instead of looking down.
Sure.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question though?
Yeah,
Andrew. So, just not to get too serious, but do you think your parents reveled in that moment in a different way because of the injury that you had suffered years before? Like, really, in many ways, you were not expected to even make it. Yeah.
So in 2007, May 12th, 2007, I'd coached a bunch of kids all week at a top 40 camp, and the coaches had gone out after, and we went for beer and some food, and I was leaving about midnight, and some gang kids were chasing people with baseball bats, and they were chasing one of the girls of the guy they had previously hit. So I kind of got in the middle of it. Next thing I know, I remember my brother coming into the hospital, and I remember a pretty severe situation. I got hit over the top of the head once with a baseball bat, and I had they call it a scalpoptomy and an epidermal hematoma.
Wow.
Oh my.
Yeah, and so they basically they put about three clamps on my head, 3 metal clamps to put it back together, kind of rebuilt my skull. But the biggest thing wasn't the fact that, I mean, you'd had your skull was cracked open, was the fact that you had to learn how to speak again.
Right.
So
wow.
I was 3 weeks away from camp at that point, and I had just resigned. It was a big deal for me, and obviously for my parents too. But yeah, so I was 3 weeks out, and one of the first things I couldn't speak, but one of the first things I did with a doctor, because I obviously couldn't speak, he gave me a sheet of paper, and I wrote on a piece of paper that said, when will I be back? So when am I going to go play football again? But that's that mindset. You grow up. It's like, it's May, there's that the song plays, the boys in the field, right? You want to go back, you want to play football, and that's that mindset that today I would say that a lot of people that get concussions don't report them or try to avoid them for that same reason. So anyways, yeah, but to the injury, that was the injury. And I mean, what was your question?
So a year later, you got the award, right?
Right.
The Jake Godard. Yeah. So, the Jake Godard. So I remember coming home from the hospital, and I think, like, what is going on? Like, nobody died here. I'm still kicking, but a funeral just happened. I had cards coming in the mail. There was Facebook pages, and that was just when Facebook was going. There were Facebook pages that started up, and I thought, all these people, they don't even know me. And they're really stepping up to support my family, And I thought, I'm just sitting there because I had lots of time to think. I'm just sitting around all the time, laying in bed. And I thought, you know what, I got to do something to benefit the community if these people are. And that's really, so as much as it was a tough experience, again, from my parents' angle, from my experience, I think it just made me a better person. And so that's when I started doing things in the community. I started getting involved. I started just becoming more of a leader than just a player. And becoming and leading through, actions and leading through things you want to do. And so that's when I started getting involved, and through Winnipeg and Edmonton and into Saskatchewan, I really got involved in the community activities. So trying to inspire kids.
That's fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah. That's incredible.
Super inspiring. Thank you for sharing that story.
Yeah.
I know it can't always be easy to share that, but I appreciate
honestly,
it.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked.
Awesome.
I used to go and talk to kids about it, but I think, and just the 1 year is a big, obviously a timeline that I was excited about, but I can't do it without the team that you had around you. When it comes down to it, from your parents to, your siblings to former teammates or former coaches. Group. Yeah, they were always there trying to. And I had a guy, who used to play in Winnipeg and Hamilton, Warren Musica, was a few years ahead of me. But he used to show up in the morning, and as soon as I was allowed to do physical activity, he'd take me for a walk. He'd show up, we'd go walking.
Wow.
But that's that football mentality. That football, it's a guy's out, but you show up in his door and you show up at 9 and you take him for an hour walk. The next day you take him for an hour and 10. You take him for, and so those are the guys that really. But that's that team, and that's I mean back to the local sponsor, Alair Homes.
Yeah, nice.
Right.
Yeah,
but that's that same culture you're trying to create. Is that team where if somebody needs you, you're there.
Right.
So. Yeah, I love them. I'm a huge, family, everything is, the team is a big thing for me.
Well, let's, I'd love to hear more stories, but we'll do that for a little bit later. But let's get into our game. So, big win on the road for the green and gold. I guess I'm still doing the night before football.
Yes.
Esks win 30-27 with a last second field goal by the one and only Sean White, who also went 3 for 3 on the night. So that was kind of a nice one.
Beautiful.
So, Anto, let's start with you this time. What kind of stood out in the game for you?
So I was a little nervous about our secondary.
Yeah.
Every time a long bomb goes up, I hold my breath. And I think that's just maybe remnants of last year.
Sure.
Could be, yeah.
I thought our defense was markedly improved from last year. Truly.
Absolutely.
The line, I'd say, was in mid-season form.
Yes.
Our linebackers were, we can talk about JC Sherritt a little bit, but they stepped up. But despite the loss, despite the loss of JC Sherritt, they stepped up, and our secondary was, not a big gaping hole. So they were really good.
Light and day compared to night before compared to last
year.
Yeah, well.
So really to pull a game off, there's going to be enormous parity in the CFL this year. So we have to get used to most games going down to, a bucket, a handful of points.
But that's the CFL, don't you want that?
Yeah.
Yes.
I love it.
I think they're going to be so entertaining to watch. Yes.
Especially with going to the ESPN2 in the States, that really helps sell our game as well.
Oh, for sure.
It's exciting.
So
they're coming
we
down
have
to
a very entertaining game.
Other than the Toronto game,
I think it's more entertaining than the NFL. I truly do.
Absolutely.
By a long shot.
Well, I 100% agree.
And I thought the coolest thing on the last play was Riley just said, everybody just calm the fire truck down. Okay? Just calm the fire truck down. We're going to 2 seconds. I've got this. Don't panic.
That leadership really came out.
Oh, yeah.
He just said, here's what's going to happen, and they kicked a field goal. So it was brilliant clock management right to the 2 second mark.
Yeah.
And then they kicked it and they won.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. Now, my problem is BC games. They're so late. I'm old. I fell asleep for the last 10 minutes, right? So I had to rewind. I record them all, so we're good.
On your new couch.
On my new couch, yeah. It was really nice. It was great, by the way. It was fabulous. I had my blankie up. So I passed out for the last 10 minutes, and I'm like, I see Sports Center. I'm like, so I have to rewind it.
How did you? Oh my goodness!
I'm old. I'm tired, and I'm old.
You're not there.
Yeah, exactly.
It was late. It was 11 o'clock at night.
Oh, come on.
But notwithstanding that, it was fabulous.
All right. Well, D, I agree. Like, Konar, a huge game, 9 tackles in total,
huge.
7 tackles and 2 on special teams, and, of course, 5 flippy-doos for the defense in this game.
2
so
from
that
Odell.
was, that was
Konar.
beauty. Yeah, absolutely.
Graham
Graham, what's
doesn't care
stood out for
anymore.
you?
He's like,
Did he watch it?
I work in real estate now. I don't care.
I would say that huge confidence boosters for Riley.
Yes.
Right? That gives you, it's like, now you're becoming a quarterback. Not that he wasn't prior, but that's the confidence, like, hey, listen, I've won a Grey Cup. I could lead a team back, and I could do it with swagger. And the other one was the fact that the team comes back. That's a huge confidence.
Sure.
Like, these are building blocks. Like, at the start of the year, you I mean, again, back to the player's perspective, you're basically building something throughout the year, right? And everything is adding to that confidence, that swagger, because it's really, and we saw it in 13-12 with BC when they were 0-6 and they just won it out.
Yes, yeah.
Right? And that's what you're looking for in the CFL. You're wanting that, like, you want something. You want to learn your lessons, but you still want to have that confidence. You want to build those blocks that you can come back, that you've got the team, you've got the defense, you can step up without Sherritt. That's what you want in the team, so that those last 6 games are the most important, but it's those building blocks that are going to, kind of make your character for the last 6 games. And that's what you're starting to see. That was a great Graeme. I mean, in all honesty, I watched the highlights. I didn't watch the game, but that's what you're looking for.
Right. Yeah.
So I love those TSN, top plays or...
where it just goes through all the scoring plays. Yeah, it's fantastic.
I love it. Or, or they do those games in 25 minutes.
Right. Yes.
It just plays.
Yeah.
I love
And
them.
as surprised as I am to say this, Darrell Walker, who?
To some degree.
Right?
Yeah.
They're replacing him by committee. I love that term.
I love it too.
We don't need one guy. We need 3.
Team.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
I agree.
That's right.
I know
we now
we're...
have 4 targets,
Exactly, yeah.
which is fantastic.
Exactly. Well, and I think the balance was really noticeable
Yes.
in this game. So
Surprisingly, Bowman didn't have...
Bowman and Arsenault
2
both
catches.
were 20 yards
2
and
catches.
less.
Yeah.
How often do you have a game with Bowman and Arsenault with yards less than 20 yards each?
Yeah.
And we won.
That's unreal. Unreal.
That's a huge confidence builder when you see that,
Yeah.
right? That alone is
Because
a
you know
message.
Darius is going to get his ball sooner
Yeah.
or later.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Oh my.
it spread out though, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's the benefit.
That's what you want. That's the confidence again.
That's
it's always
absolutely
back
right.
to the team, right?
It's not a 2-receiver show.
No,
There's
if they
5 guys.
if they won the first
Right?
6 games, where's the confidence with everybody?
Right.
Yeah.
Right? You need them. A Bowman
What if he
gets
got
injured? Where's the
We're done.
confidence?
Yeah.
So you
Exactly.
need that where guys can step up.
So deep on this
Okay.
team.
Now I know where Superfan's going to go, but
I love the fact that we committed to the run game early and continued
Yeah.
throughout the game.
100% agree.
It was
Yeah.
great seeing Blanco, and first of all, I loved seeing white 4 on the back of his jersey. That was great
Yes.
that Dwayne finally gave him that after 4 years. I mean, he had a monster game.
Yeah.
Like when we needed that first down, they handed it to him. He was running the ball. And the other side of the ball, Arjun Colquhoun. I mean, for a rookie on the corner, Canadian, that was outstanding game.
Well, and that one that
Speed
I mean,
and
I know
power.
that I think it was it Burnham or Moore that caught the ball, but Arjun Colquhoun, what was he, like 8 feet in the air jumping for that, and he just missed knocking that ball down. I was like, holy man, this guy's got some talent. Yeah, it was very, very impressive.
I mean,
ratio breaker.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, huge. We started 3 Canadians
On defense.
and not one of them on the line.
Wow.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
That's
amazing.
Safety corner and middle linebacker.
That's
that
pretty
gives
impressive.
You so much on the offense, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
But
To have those 4 starting Americans. It's the
Yeah.
first time we've had 4 starting Americans since 2004.
Yeah.
I mean, 2004 was a pretty impressive year.
That was a pretty good lineup.
Rain
Yeah.
Man.
We had
He's
Tucker,
Rain
we
Man.
had Hervey, we had Vaughn, and we had Mookie Mitchell. I mean, those are pretty special.
Yeah.
But these guys have the potential to be just, equally as special, perhaps. I mean, Bowman himself, obviously, we know is going to be special. Zylstra had a great year last year, doing well this year. I mean, he actually have 152.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. And obviously Duke Williams. I mean,
Duke Williams.
What a game.
110 and a TD,
Yeah.
and that first TD was a beauty.
Yeah, Hazelton got a TD there, so.
We'll take it. Now, the downside of this game, of course, we have to talk about is that Sherritt did get injured, and the news did come out today that it is a
Ruptured
Achilles, so he is done for the year. Sad to see that. I think Corey Jones filled in admirably.
I think he did.
You did see that. You did see that Jeremiah Johnson. Obviously, they pounded the ball up a little bit more once Corey Jones was in there. But I thought that he did pretty well for having to be called in out of the blue.
Yeah, and we also had Terrence Bolt as a scratch.
Right.
He was on the 46, didn't make the 44 for the
Right.
game, so he'll be available as well. I think I said to you before, maybe if they're going to look for somebody, what about Alex Hoffman-Ellis?
I was just going to say, Hoffman is prime.
Yeah, the guy that's used to that Moss offense from last year didn't make the team because Sherritt is the middle linebacker, and that's his natural position. So maybe he gets a call, or maybe we roll with the guys that we've got.
Could be.
Do we think the clock is ticking on Sherritt? As much as I like him.
I think this is going to be an interesting year.
A tough one.
Right?
Yeah, especially 7-year veteran.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
And I love him, right?
Me too.
First of all, he needs to do more yoga, right?
Yeah.
These
Well,
injuries are mitigated with yoga, right? Like they don't understand the it's going to sound,
preachy,
goofy. It's going to sound preachy, but it keeps you healthy. But anyway,
Yes,
that's neither here nor there.
Well, I think that would help. Changing his name would have helped more.
Yes.
2 years ago, we had John White. Last year was John Ojo. This year is John Cody Sherritt. So if I was Johnny Adams, I'm changing my name to Jadarius.
You're ready?
Jadarius?
I'm just saying.
But
we need more Adarii on this
That's
team.
right.
That's right. Yeah, we've said that before.
I have no response to that. Okay.
Yeah.
But he as good as he is. I mean, last year, I get nervous every time he goes down.
Yeah.
It's tough on an undersized linebacker.
Right?
He's undersized.
Sure.
Like he's just incredibly talented, reads plays
Very.
well.
But, he's
But the
crazy
problem is he's
talented.
undersized.
And he's, on 30, so.
Yeah, and he's and that's when injuries start to come in.
Right.
And, I mean, that's a tough one.
I guess we will
and he's a good
see.
leader,
Just saying.
too.
I mean,
So.
John White came back. I mean, he came back within a year, but he wasn't really as effective until, a couple months
Yeah,
later, September
that's right.
kind of thing.
That's right.
But he was 5-6 years younger than Sherritt is.
Yeah.
So that it's going to be tough for him. And
The Achilles is an ugly injury.
If anyone can do it, he can, but it's going to be interesting to see his effectiveness a year and a half from now.
Yeah.
I've been trying to Google. What is the status on John Ojo?
No one's really heard.
in
but
somebody's camp
He was
in
in
the States.
he was in an NFL camp,
Jets?
but I can't remember which. Yeah, it was the Jets. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then never heard anything after that.
Yeah,
So.
he had a mini camp, but I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just kind of hanging in the air right now.
Right.
So, anyway, who knows?
You would, like, honestly, that until September, October, you don't hear anything. Like
Right.
it takes a while before those guys.
Yeah.
And then they hang out. If there's injuries, they hang out for a while.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
So
And then
those
it's gonna
guys
go
don't
from
come
there.
back till after.
I'm thinking
9.
Tevon Smith's guy I want to hear about too.
Yeah, Tavon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tevon?
Tevon.
Tavon?
I don't know. He wouldn't make it on the
doesn't
streets
return
with
my
that
calls.
name.
Yeah. T. Smith? Yeah. He doesn't answer your calls. Bastard. No. All right. Just one quick thing. Penalties. We had 10 for 125, mostly in the fourth quarter.
Yes.
But here's something I do want to say. BC had 7 for 54, but they were
the penalties
way
they had.
more costly. Like, how many huge plays got taken off the board by a penalty?
Return touchdown.
Yeah, which that was a penalty.
Yep.
There's no doubt about it. But it's so I guess ours didn't affect like that. But man, oh man, we got to get the. I hate seeing double digits in penalties.
for
That's
sure.
brutal.
I mean, those are things that Moss will bring up in the,
Yes.
in the after game meetings the next day. When those are the things you got to tighten up on.
Yeah, that one PI was not PI though. That was
No.
brutal. Of course, we didn't have to waste a challenge on a catch that was a catch. We
Oh,
might
yeah.
have been able to challenge
Exactly.
it. But anyway, that's
Exactly.
a whole other story. Anyway, that game.
I'd rather have something, be able to have room to improve and win the game.
That's true.
Than
Yes, that's
have to
okay.
improve and have lost it. So
totally.
Fair enough. All right. Well, that game is in the past now. Let's go a little bit further back with our Eskimo history segment for this week.
Let's hear you cheer and holler for a mighty famous team. Let's hear you roar, you know what, for a team that's on repeat. Our voices rise up to the skies, the fans are glad to scream. We love those Eskimos.
welcome to This Week in Eskimos History. This week, we will talk about some significant Eskimo dates from June 28th to July 4th. Looking at some Eskimo birthdays this week. On June 29th, Ed Jones, defensive back from 1976 to 1984, turns 65. On the same day, June 29th, Darrell Walker, receiver 2015 and 16, turns 26. On June 30th, Joe Montford, defensive end 2005 to 2006, turns 47. And on July 4th, friend of the podcast, Eddie Steele, defensive tackle 2013 to 2016, will be 29. Current Eskimos celebrating a birthday in late June. On June 29th, Joel Figueroa, Joey Figs, offensive tackle since 2016. Eskimos who have their anniversary of passing during this time. July 2nd, 2001. On this date, 16 years ago, Ron Forwick, former defensive end from 1965 to 74, passed away from cancer at the age of 57. Forwick joined the team from the Edmonton Huskies junior football team and was the West nominee for Rookie of the Year. Patrolling the left side of the defensive line across from first E.A. Sims and later Ed Molstad, he was a CFL West All-Star in 1970 and played in the first CFL All-Star game since it had ceased after 1958. In 2002, the Eskimos dedicated Forwick Field by Kinsman Park to their former alumnus. And finally, looking at some other important dates in the Empire, we look at 3 battles versus the original Ottawa franchise. July 3rd, 1981, Edmonton beats the Ottawa Rough Riders 47-21 at Lansdowne Park, the first green and gold regular season victory there in 20 years. Warren Moon started slow, but got rolling early as he ended up completing 15 of 19 passes for 208 yards and 20 first downs in the opening half of football. Moon was just as deadly with his feet as he ran 3 times for 43 yards, as the Rough Riders had seemingly no answer for the star quarterback. Edmonton would face Ottawa at Commonwealth in October, a 24-6 yawner, before facing them a third time in the 69th Grey Cup in Montreal that year. Perhaps the ease in which they handled the Black Riders made that game all more shocking, as the Eskimos were down 20-1 at halftime in the championship game, before roaring back to a 26-23 win on the last play, making it an instant classic. On June 30th, 1984, second-year pivot Matt Dunnigan gets his first regular season start as the Eskimos show off his chemistry with Brian Kelly with a 32-31 win over the visiting Rough Riders. Kelly ties Jim Germany's team record with 4 touchdowns in a game, while rookie safety Laurent Delorier in his CFL debut intercepts Ottawa's J.C. Watts 3 times, including one on the Eskimos' 6-yard line with 21 seconds left in the game, as Ottawa was driving for the winning points. Dave Cutler scored 4 converts, a single, and a winning 11-yard field goal with 1:12 left in the game as the Eskimos began the new era as the majority of the 5-in-a-row dynasty were gone by this season. Also making his Eskimos debut in this game is linebacker Danny Bass, who played alongside Dan Kepley in his final CFL season. And lastly, July 1st, 1975. Edmonton beats the Ottawa Rough Riders 21-20 in their final preseason game of the year before opening the 1975 season. Dave Cutler scores a rouge on a missed field goal for the final play of the game that saw rookie Eskimo receiver Gerald Taylor receive a Tom Wilkinson pass to race onto the 3-yard line and hand the ball off to an Ottawa defensive back, not realizing that the goalposts in Canada are at the front of the end zone, not the back. Thank you again for listening to another episode of This Week in Eskimos History. Please follow us on Twitter and Instagram @Esks History, or find us on Facebook under This Day in Esks History. Until next week, fight on, Eskimos.
Going for a touchdown. Going for a touchdown. Going for a touchdown. We love those Eskimos.
All right, thanks again, Superfan. And as also, I guess, we're celebrating in history this week, because this week it is Canada 150, of course, on Saturday. So we thought we'd ask one more question that's kind of pertaining to Canadians. And who is your favorite Canadian Eskimo player? I'll go first so that you guys have some time to think about it. I know this is going to come as a great shock. It could be current or past.
Favorite Canadian.
Okay. Favorite Canadian.
In the CFL, we'll say.
So I had definitely a couple to toss in this particular one, but I am going back to one of the players that introduced me to the game, that made me love the game, and made me forever want to wear number 27, and that is Marco Sincar.
What a fine choice.
Lulu will be very happy that you picked him.
She should be. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm excited to hear her response. Yeah. All right. Graeme, I mean, you can say yourself. That's fine. No, I'm getting Did you have a Canadian player you kind of looked up to as you were growing up that was kind of your favorite?
Canadian with the Eskimos?
Or with any team. CFL.
Any team. CFL.
I would say Glenn Suter, because, I mean, I started getting into it in 88. 89, they won.
Yeah.
And I would say that a guy like Glenn Suter, because he picked off the ball back in the end. And I mean, mind you, he's defensive. But yeah, he would be one guy that I would say that really stood out in my mind as a young guy, as a young kid.
Perfect. Cool. Awesome. Yeah. Anto.
Thank you for giving me a few minutes because I could develop a list in my head.
I kind of figured.
So one of them would be Graeme Bell, as a
fair enough.
close personal friend.
Yes.
So,
nice.
In there for sure. Hank Olisic.
Ooh,
graduate of St. Joe's High School in Edmonton, right? Yes. And he would come back to watch the team
Cadillac.
play. Did he have a pink? I didn't.
Yeah.
I was pretty young. I was there watching my brother play high
Nice.
school football. So it was really cool. And so I thought, now looking back, he had an affinity for the high school that he played at. So that was always really cool. Hometown boy, did well. Hashtag Ryan King future baby daddy. And he's a local boy too, and he does a lot of work in the community. And for someone whose nephew is going to start playing with the Golden Bears this coming year, that means a lot to have them still involved in the fabric of
I want to get this on Vimeo. Get me a video.
No. Hashtag future baby daddy. No. Well,
awesome.
If you think I have a shot, I have no problems with that. So those are my top 3.
Good picks.
I would say those are pretty solid. I think
those are great picks. Yeah, absolutely. Super fan. I'm pretty sure I know where you're headed.
So many different people in there. For me, it's going to be Normie Kwong. We're talking about a guy that was a fullback. In a position at the time in the 50s, it was traditionally American. You had guys like Johnny Bright, you had George Reed, Leo Lewis, who was a running back, fullback as well. But I mean, he led the league in rushing for a couple of years in a row. When he retired, he was the leading rusher in the CFL, all as a Canadian that started as an 18-year-old with the Calgary Stampeders, and then came to Edmonton because they figured he was done.
Yeah.
And had a 10-year career here, made the Hall of Fame, every Hall of Fame imaginable, was Lieutenant Governor of Alberta, and just an incredible life. An incredible
you are a history buff.
Yeah,
right? It's CFL Rain Man right there.
I like where you said, "Hey man, that's the other part." I can't wait for that to be in there. I'm gonna use that as a soundbite from now. From every time he goes off on one of those things.
I have no life.
Yeah, but I think the life you have is great.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, and special shout outs, of course, to all the our wonderful guests that we've had on, Jed Roberts and Glenn Harper, and of course the one and only Tone Low, Calvin McCarty as
Randy
well.
Spencer.
Randy Spencer, all Canadians that we've had on the show that, we, of course, cheer for you guys as Canadians, but also as Eskimos. So that was fantastic. All right, let's take a really quick break, and we will be right back with our out-of-town scoreboard and the game preview and this week's Pick'em.
This is Quick Boating, and listen to the Eskimo Empire podcast.
Hey guys, do you know there's even more ways to interact with the Empire online? What? That's right, you can find us on Twitter at EskEmpirePod, on Facebook under the Eskimo Empire Podcast group, on Instagram at EskEmpirePod, and you can also follow us on YouTube under our channel, the Eskimo Empire Podcast. Now, I know you guys like that Eskimo history segment, right? Yeah! You can follow more of that information at Esks History on Twitter, and you can find it on This Day in Esks History on Facebook. Don't forget to share, okay? Okay! Thanks so much for listening. Let's get back to the show. The Eskimo Empire podcast is brought to you this week by Alair Homes. As we have Graeme here, and you're part of the Alair Homes team, I hear prepping for a renovation is a lot like preparation for a game. So give us a little bit of your tips on that.
You know, a lot of times in football, we'd often plan for hours and hours upon hours for 3 hours. Literally,
that would be
we would plan 60 hours just for a 3-hour game, and that a lot of that goes back to football, but it's how you have to plan for a renovation or a home build. There's more planning involved in a home than just putting some numbers on paper and starting construction. So I've taken a lot from the football field on how I plan for a renovation or plan for any construction. Is always look for contingencies, look for a game plan going into it, and make sure you plan more than what it's going to take you to actually construct the renovation.
Awesome. That is fantastic. So I know you guys do both home building and renovations, right?
Yeah, both.
Absolutely. And you can find them at alairhomes.ca. You can find them on Twitter at alairhomes, and the same, of course, on Facebook. So support them as they support the Empire. This is the week to do it. Make sure that you tag their webpage or their Twitter and use the hashtag #BuildTheEmpire, and you'll get extra Empire points. 20 Empire points for each one, and you can do it up to 5 times. Please do it once a day. That'd be great. And spread the word as they support us. Patreon, patreon.com/EskEmpirePod. Hey, thanks for helping out the show. Welcome to our new Hall of Fame patron, Brazilian Ty, who joins Joe and Jedi and Hippie. We are planning on how we will get everyone's rewards to them at this particular moment.
That's true. T-shirts will be available at the tailgate, so show up. Let us know if you can't pick it up there, and we will get it to you one way or the other.
Awesome. And if you've already shared, subscribed, and reviewed the show, thank you very much. It's always super helpful, and we appreciate it.
Absolutely. If you want to help more, just head on over and have a look in the Patreon site, and we have lots of different bonus content there.
Absolutely. And our bonus episode for June will be up right away with Doug and Uncle BD.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's a great one.
Awesome. And the full length for Morley and Dave should be up right away as well. So, all right, let's check out our out-of-town scoreboard. So tell us about the games there, Superfan.
So this week we had Montreal, Saskatchewan, Montreal 17, Saskatchewan 16.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's a big excitement from Auntie Paddles.
Oh, that was just a great game. And, some of us did see that coming.
Yeah.
Some of us didn't. But,
nope, some of us didn't. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I did see that one coming.
That's true.
Yeah.
I think we all agreed on that one.
I was more happy for Doubles.
Yeah.
Out there, man. Good for him.
Yeah, and he looked like he was really fired up to play that.
He was beaking
awesome.
at the rider bench.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Next up, we had the Calgary-Ottawa game that was tied 31-31.
Another tie, 2 years in a row with these
3 times, and it's been
really
the overtime.
Yeah, that was crazy, and what a crazy overtime too.
What a crazy overtime.
And heck of a interception by was it Jamar Wall that was lying on the ground and it hit him in the chest?
Yep.
That's impressive.
He planned that.
Yeah. That's what he said. Yeah.
And then lastly, we had the Toronto 32, Hamilton 15.
Whoa.
I think there were more points than people in the stands for that one, unfortunately. But Ricky Ray is back.
Oh, shouldn't he be?
Yeah.
Under Tressman?
I'm happy.
Wow.
We knew
him and SJ Green.
Happy.
We knew the quarterback whisperer was going to be awesome. But wow, I mean, they said Ricky Ray is pretty close to the same age that Anthony Calvillo was when Trestman came and put it with him.
Good
so
for him.
Just
awesome.
500
I'm happy.
plus yards.
What a great human being.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm so happy you start to see him done with the injury clouds. And,
Touch wood.
Yeah, exactly.
He's. I'm excited for him. I saw that game.
Wow, over 500 yards passing. I mean, it was amazing. And let me tell that catch by SJ Green, though, the one-hander.
Too.
Oh, my goodness.
I still have it PVR'd and haven't watched it yet. I don't have to.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
If you like Toronto winning, you'll like it.
Okay, I will. I hate Caleros.
I'm happy for Ricky.
Yes, absolutely. All right, now our game here this week, of course, is the home opener against Montreal and doubles, as we just finished saying. Of course, it also means tailgate. Ooh. How exciting. And, of course, it's Canada 150, so there's going to be lots. They're going to have a flyover. Kids get in for free. They're going to have lightning sticks or thunder sticks or those types of things. Yeah. Lightning sticks. Whatever.
One of the elements, Andrew.
I want lightning stick. Could you imagine? Zap.
Yes, I can, actually.
Be awesome.
I like that.
Yeah, see? I'm just thinking. So this is the game to be at on Friday night. It's going to be amazing. Let's go around the table. What are the keys to the game for the Eskimos? Let's start with you this time, Graeme.
Eliminate penalties. Be consistent with what they're doing. Right, you've got to have Riley's got to step up, have a game, and I honestly, based on Montreal, Saskatchewan, stick to the running game.
Yes.
Pound. You get 3 yards, keep it going, and then when you open up, throw the ball.
Love it.
Yeah, what he said. I'm not going to be here. I'll be in Ottawa. I don't care. I care.
But you'll be watching there, right?
Well, it's too in family. Who knows? I'm PVRing it.
I'll be texting her. Did you see
I
that
got nothing. I'm so upset.
You didn't. Yeah, all right,
I'm not a,
Ottawa, you'll be back.
Yeah.
All right, fine.
Carry on.
Okay, super fan.
Well, obviously, like Graeme said, you got to commit to that run game like they did in the last game and just keep it balanced, and it's going to open everything up. And I'm really interested to see how Corey Jones or Bullitt does against that Montreal offense.
Yes, absolutely. I do think that one of the keys for this particular game is going to be the Eskimos' offensive line. Mm-hmm. Montreal was bringing some pressure on Glenn last week, and I think that our offensive line played quite well against a fairly talented BC defensive line.
Yep.
But Montreal has been known for that pressure, especially in that Thorpe defense. I think our offensive line is going to have to be on par. And not that we forgot to mention this in the game roundup, but John White's blocking was unreal against BC. He's always been very good. I do want to see, obviously, more of that, but I think that O-line's going to have to stand up for and keep Mike standing.
Yeah, and I had that D-line just do the opposite to them.
Yes, exactly.
In the previous game, 51% of all throws were hurried.
Really? Yeah.
That's a lot.
Huge. But the one thing you're talking about, the O-line, if you let them run the ball, they are inspired people.
Sure.
They're looking...
Rather be the hammer than the nail.
Yeah, they are. Get them going early, and they'll keep Bradley up, and they'll keep the ball moving.
Love it.
The CFL, the most important position, O-line.
Yeah.
All right, excellent.
Yeah.
Now, is there any particular player you're going to be watching in this game? Let's start with you this time, Superfan.
Corey Jones or whoever is going to be replacing J.C. Sherrod in that middle, whether it's Terrence Bullitt, whether it's Corey. I think that with first-team reps, that's going to really help him this week. Mm-hmm. And I think he still did a great job considering he was playing second-team or scout reps with the team all during practice. So with a couple of games with first-team reps, I think he could do really well.
All right. Anto, who do you
on
want
my PVR version of the game, right?
Yes.
It'll still be the secondary. It's where I seem to hold my breath every time a deep ball is thrown. Mm-hmm. Not Ryan King, sorry, his brother.
Neil,
thank you.
Baby uncle.
I always hope.
He's not as good looking as
he's not. Well. He really isn't.
He's baby
not,
uncle, right?
He's not a baby daddy. He's not there yet. I'm not inspired by him. I'm on the fence with him, despite the family connection I want to have with him. I just don't trust him back there. I don't trust him back there. So I watch him every game just to hope that he surprises me. Mm-hmm. That sounds really terrible. I'm sorry.
Well, that's okay. You're allowed your opinion.
Good luck.
Good.
It's going to be so awkward at family dinners.
I'm out.
Okay, Graeme, who are you going to watch in this one?
You know what? I think there's two. I want to see who's going to step up and lead the defense.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. That's a huge person this game, and O-line. Like I'm telling you, they're going to make you successful. If a good O-line is going to keep the ball moving and keep their offense off the field.
3 years in a row with essentially the same line.
They better. Mm-hmm.
That's massive.
They better play 22 games.
Yeah.
Right?
I like the way you think, 22 as well.
Yeah.
Okay, this week I am going to be watching whoever it is that happens to be returning the ball, because one of the things that came out earlier was that Ladarius Perkins was moved to the practice roster. Yep. So does that mean that Trayvon Van is ready to go? And if that's the case, is he the one returning? Are we going to see more of Edwards returning, who I thought he had a couple of great returns? So I think there's a lot of interesting moves going on in the back of that special teams, and I'd like to see who's going to be returning, and if we can stay out of the shadows of our goalposts on kicks, that'd be great. Yeah, obviously a big part of this particular game, this last game too. So, all right, let's get to our pick'em.
Here we go.
That's always fun. So join the group with the link that we posted. Leaders this week are Hugo Agogo, Eski Check in number 2, Thomas Pine in number 3, Barry Ziober in 4, and this can't be right. In 5th, Superfan Mike. Oh, my.
Hard to believe.
Well done, sir.
Yeah, well, I told you Toronto would surprise us.
Yeah,
here.
Shut up. All right, let's...
Stupid Toronto.
I know, boys.
That's what's going now. Stupid Toronto. That's what's going to happen. All right, so our first game, we were just talking about it, Montreal versus Edmonton in Edmonton. Who are we picking in this game? Anto, I'll start with you.
That will be Edmonton.
All right, perfect. I kind of figured, but I'm going to ask anyway. Graeme?
I would say that Montreal, they performed well. Darien looked good. The receivers were tight, but I do feel that Edmonton's riding a high right now.
Yeah. All right,
and I got them.
Perfect. Superfan.
The fact that Montreal won last week, I think, really helped them, and they're going to be riding that high, but I think we're going to bring them down to earth in this one. Had they lost that game, I think they'd be chomping at the bit a little more. Right. So we'll be, catching them feeling a little confident, and we'll send everybody
at home too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Edmonton in this one. I think a home opener at home. They played so well last week. I don't see the Montreal offense being any more effective than the BC offense was. So I have a feeling that that's going to be a win for the Eskimos. All right, next one is Ottawa versus Calgary, the rematch. Okay, Graeme, who are you going with?
Please, Ottawa.
Exactly.
Spoken like a true Edmontonian. Well done. Superfan?
This one is in Calgary. That's usually good for an extra 3 points, and it was tied this last time, so I think it probably could go to another overtime, but Calgary's going to take it.
All right. Anto?
I'm hoping. I'll go with the motion. I'm hoping for Ottawa.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Before I pick, I do need to give a shout out to Daltz on Rouge Radio, who last week called a 32-32 tie and was off by 2 points in total. Like, we bow to you, sir. That was well done.
We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
I am not picking the tie, though.
Is his middle name Nostradamus?
Yeah, should be. Exactly. But I'm going to pick Calgary in this one. I think at home, they've had two really, really close ones. I think it's time for Calgary to step up and take that one. So I'm going to give that one to Calgary. As much as I hate it, I'm going to give it to Calgary. That's okay. We'll still be in first because of the tie. Right. So that's perfect. Yeah. BC versus Toronto in Toronto. And this has got to be one of the hardest games to call this week. Superfan, you get to go first.
Yeah, I actually, I've already put my picks in, and I have called for this to be a Toronto win.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy, 2 in a week.
2 in a week, and 0-2 for BC to start the season.
Man, all right. Auntie Paddles.
Just because we need a Western team to lose, let's go with Toronto.
All right.
And I love Ricky Ray. How can you not love Ricky Ray?
Yeah.
I'm all about, I've got nothing to do with stats. Zero. It's all about the provincial bird, what is their provincial flower? What like an Argonaut versus a cat? I'm gonna
Here's my tea leaves.
It's all emotion. I love Ricky. I want Ricky to win.
All right, fair enough. That's a good reason, pick him.
Trestman, Ricky. I think I think they're gonna. I mean, based off last week, and I'm confident that Ricky can keep this up all season. Trestman, Ricky, they're going to do a lot this year.
All right, and I am going with Toronto as well.
Woo!
And I'm picking Toronto. Now, here's the other thing: Ricky and Trestman is definitely one thing, but that Toronto defense played lights out, way better than I thought they were going to be able to play. And so I think they're going to put some pressure again on this BC offensive line that is still a little bit of a work in progress. So I think it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I mean, obviously BC's offense has the potential to go crazy at any moment. Yep. But I think Toronto is going to pull that one out.
Toronto showed that their offense can be pretty good too.
Yeah, not too shabby. Exactly. Yeah. Winnipeg versus Saskatchewan in Saskatchewan. Now, you know what? This is actually kind of a tough one to call as well because we haven't actually seen Winnipeg play yet, and that's like in the first week. It's always hard to pick because you just don't know what team is actually going to show up out there.
Is this this is the home opener in Mosaic?
This is the home opener.
If they
don't
win,
Mosaic.
They're going to get shot.
So I honestly think it's going to be very, very close. But I think I'm going to give Saskatchewan just the squeak out win in this particular game. Super fan.
I've been looking at some of the stuff, especially doing fantasy now. I'm paying way more attention.
No kidding.
To the scouting reports. But Andrew Harris has been injured a bit with his leg, so they're not sure about him playing. I think if he plays, Winnipeg takes this one and spoils the home opener. If he doesn't, Saskatchewan takes it.
All right. So. Nice whiffle.
Well, I'm waiting. I haven't made my pick in the pick'em for this one yet. I'm going to wait.
Sure.
As soon as it gets close, if he's not playing, I'm going to take Saskatchewan. If he is, I'll take Winnipeg.
All right, I'll hold you to that.
I'll allow it.
All right. Yes.
Well, there's no way they can lose their home opener in Saskatchewan. There will be every fan is being equipped with a bottle of Pilsner, and they will be bludgeoned at the end of that game. They will be bludgeoned if they lose this game.
Let them up.
So, former Rider, what do you think?
I honestly would go with Winnipeg on this one. I'm not. I still have yet to gain any confidence back in Saskatchewan and Riderville right now.
Wow.
So, yeah, I'm not. I wouldn't say I was super impressed even last week. I mean, they were there, but 16 points is 16 points.
Yeah.
So
you're harsh, baby. You're
just
harsh.
I honestly, Jones has yet to impress me.
I don't know that offense at home.
This is year 3 of his experiment, isn't it?
Carter and Roosevelt against that Winnipeg D. Okay. All right. So Hamilton is on bye this week, and thank God for them, because holy jeez, do they need a little bit of heal time.
Lick their wounds.
Oh, my goodness. All right. So join
some fan support.
Yeah, maybe. Well, they got some. Hamilton has fan support.
They have good.
I'm sure half people in Toronto were.
They have good. They have good fans.
Exactly. It's very true.
9,000 in the crowd.
Yeah, exactly. So join our CFL fantasy as well, as Mike was alluding to. We're going to be getting some prize editions from the CFL for those contests. Yeah. So get involved and beat the
fire truck
out of Mike and I.
That's right.
Fantastic. Really looking forward to middle of the pack.
Yeah. Big hint though: take Duke Williams if you can.
No kidding. He helped me out quite a bit.
Yes, he helped us all.
Mm-hmm. Yay, DraftKings. Okay. That's the free plug. Cut that out. I shouldn't have said that. Okay. All right, one other quick plug I want to put in this. Go on and fill out the CFL football study. It's conducted by Professor John Miller. On Twitter, it's at JMillerStats. You can find the link there and basically fill everything out to show your love of your fan base. Easy enough?
Easy enough.
Perfect. We also tweeted it out yesterday and got a huge bump of Eskimo fans. So thanks for doing that, guys. But get in there and fill that out. Well, we've reached the end. Thank you both for coming and enjoying this. This was a complete laugh. I love it. And there's so many good stories and so many laughs, and I very much
when you come out of your shell,
it.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, exactly. One day, this quiet flower will bloom.
It's a gift / curse.
I was going to say.
What can I say?
Anti-wallflower.
That's right. Exactly.
It was some very fun times tonight. Good laughs, gentlemen.
Well, we love having you here for sure. So tell everyone, where can they find you if you so wish to be found on Twitter and all those things.
Anto Kuchiku at Twitter.
Awesome. Graeme, where does everybody find you?
Not Twitter, because you can't even log in anymore.
You have to find me through Harper PR.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, she'll connect you, and I guess through the
Does Alair have Twitter?
I think they do.
Yes,
Natalie,
they do.
Natalie runs it all.
Yes, they do. Don't worry.
You connect everybody. I don't. Yeah, okay. I don't be social.
Okay, perfect. Superfan.
You can find me at 56 Parkies and the history at Esk's History.
Perfect. You can find us, of course, at Esk Empire Pod and me at Freepalicious. Thanks again for downloading, as without you, there is no empire. And thanks again to Alair Homes for sponsoring the episode. Woo! You can follow them at Alair Homes on Twitter and visit their website, alairhomes.ca. The show is back next week, and we will be recording on Sunday as we have a returning alumnus, but it will be his first time in the Turf District. We, of course, will recap the win over Montreal and get all set for the bye week. Anyway, do we want to see more of all of you at the tailgate?
Absolutely.
Are we all excited to watch more Duke, Konar the Barbarian, and Blanco?
Absolutely.
And are we ready to head into the bye week at 2-0? Absolutely. For Graeme, Anto, and Superfan Mike, I'm Andrew. Remember, you can't catch footballs with your face, and we will absolutely talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening. Find more great shows like this at CF Pod Network on Twitter.
Where did you start playing?
Saskatoon.
Sorry, I meant what position?
I was.
I don't care where. No, I'm not kidding.
hashtag Ryan King future baby daddy.
Went to college as a fullback, as a tailback / fullback, and then came to the CFL, obviously.
Yeah.
Us white Canadians that don't run fast, but are needed because of caps and requirements.
Yeah.
And so I ended up at fullback and tight end here.